Yeah, we should be live now.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep. Okay, so let's just chill for a bit. Let the people come on.
Sorry, that was my alarm.
It's all good.
Reminding me.
No worries.
Yeah. I'm gonna open the. I'll have the PowerPoint ready as well. If you remember anything you want to refer to as well, I'll have it ready.
Post something on Instagram as well. Just say that it started.
Right.
Alright, so yeah, we already have some people watching.
Really? I better open up this stream on YouTube myself. Yeah. But yeah, I won't be like actively watching the chat, but
yeah, of course. I'll feed you the information. Don't worry.
Yeah. Just sending it to a bunch of people right now as well.
Yep. So yeah, for those in the chat, we'll get started. We'll get started very soon. And if you have any questions, feel free to send it in the chat.
Okay, 4 viewers. Let's go.
Yeah, pretty good.
So like I prefer to start talking about scholarships. I feel like you guys can probably learn a lot. I've talked about university applications and kind of extracurriculars, but touching up on the scholarships, I don't think I've talked too much about it, both at school and just online. So if you want to ask questions tailored more towards that, try to ask scholarship questions. Just anything broad, general, specific, just anything that might help you out. Just feel free to ask.
Yeah, so we'll get started soon. Just waiting for some more people to join. Can you hear me typing, by the way?
A little bit, I think.
Oh, okay. I'll just mute myself for the most part then. Okay, so we have a question. Someone asked, what grade is best for starting to look for scholarship, and is there any preparation to be done?
Yeah, so with scholarships, the search, that it starts kind of as early as you can, but not earlier than the end of grade 11. So honestly, started looking for them start of grade 12, but that's obviously peak, obviously school season, and when you're in grade 12, everything is busy. So I recommend, same with your like UBC applications, getting that started in June, because then you'll have time to work on it and kind of like a preview to kind of get that done throughout the year. So with scholarships, there's a lot out there, but there's very specific things that you kind of have to look for to kind of gauge whether it's something that you should apply for. A lot of scholarships are obviously the big ones, and I'll talk about them kind of later sparingly, but big scholarships, small scholarships, school-based ones, province-based ones, different organizations, the ones that your universities will give to you automatically. There's a ton of different scholarships that you kind of have to just look for. Some of them will come up throughout the year, so you kind of have to be prepared for that, but there's a way you can be prepared, and that's by joining the IB resources folder, which I have scholarships, university help, all of that stuff, and I'll be updating throughout. So drop your personal email in the YouTube chat, and then I'm gonna add you to that. But yeah, there's a lot of databases. I have a 40-page document as well with a ton of local scholarships that you can apply for throughout the year. But yeah, drop your personal email, and I'll share that with you right after the session.
Yeah, Kobe, do you mind showing them like what you're working on with the Google Drive thing?
Yeah. Okay. Let me share my screen then.
Yeah, take it away.
Okay. So on my screen here, I'm still in the process of organizing this, and we'll somehow incorporate it better so it's not so so weirdly organized. There's a lot of empty folders as of right now, but in general, like, you can go through any of these folders, and there are documents in here on how to, do or study for the IB languages that's offered at Port Moody Secondary. Different scholarship things that I'll work on. We're also going to have a frequently asked questions document that we'll update throughout today. And just a bunch of things. This is the post-secondary kind of presentation Chris and I did last time at school at Port Moody Secondary. So look through this folder once I add you. Some of these folders are pretty rich in resources. IB economics, somewhere here, but there's a lot of stuff in here that you might find useful. So send your personal email in the YouTube chat, and I'm going to add you at the end of this session. So just make sure to drop your personal email if you're not already in here. If you are, just stay tuned. I will mass email people once I start updating things throughout the summer. I'll work on it. I'll get to it eventually. So yeah, and if you're watching this, not already subscribed to Ace IB, please give Weiwei a like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. This guy is doing a lot of work. Had me on today as a guest to kind of talk about the process transitioning from your IB years to university. and everything else in between. So please help him out, support him, drop your personal email. I'll also add you, and just stay involved with this, and we'll hopefully help you as much as possible. If you're also interested, feel free to message me, email me personally if you're looking for one-on-one kind of coaching and a direction and advice to head towards to reach your specific goal in the future. I am hoping to take a couple students in to next year when I'm off at university to keep up one-on-one with and help them throughout their college admissions process. So also offering that. But going back to, I think, the questions, what was the next question?
Yeah. So, well, before we get to that, once again, thanks Kobe for coming on and helping out with the channel. And yeah, if you like the content that we do and you want to learn more about university, if you're in the IB program as well, we post a bunch of information and resources on the IB program. So if you're interested in that, make sure to give us a like, subscribe. We'll be posting more videos and more resources in the future. So yeah, Kobe, let's maybe start your presentation or whatever you want to, the information session first, and then we can get to the questions at the end.
For sure, let's do that then. Okay. Because I saw a couple, but they're not completely related. But I really want to focus on, I guess, the scholarship side of things. So I guess I'll find that. So with a lot of kind of terminology and a lot of conversations I hear, people tend to use the wrong vocabulary. So let's go over the basics. When you attend post-secondary education, so pretty much any public institution in Canada, there's going to be ways that you can pay for your education, right? That's obviously you pay, or your parents or your family pay, but there's also aid, and there's grants where they give you the money to pay towards the university, so the money will go through you. There's loans, which are rare because usually university is pretty affordable in Canada. There's scholarships, and there's two types of scholarships: external ones and internal ones. And the ones you typically hear about all over social media, kind of online, the organizations that you might be a part of. So if you're playing sports, tournaments, different things will offer scholarships. If you're involved in art, check a bunch of the art websites and kind of where you take lessons or whatnot. There's always scholarships there. If you're in cadets, there's a ton of scholarships no matter what you're doing in cadets, and just a ton of different external ones. So I can talk about some of the ones that I myself won. So the first one was in, I think, November of 2023. I won the big ticket tournament scholarship. So that was one of the basketball ones that I won, and that was a simple application that I found out about while playing in the tournament. They're like, hey coaches, if you have students or athletes that want to apply, send in applications here. And it was like an essay, it was some extracurriculars, a reference letter, and then boom, that's $1,000. Sometimes I joke around and I tell people external scholarships will make you more money than a job will, and it's kind of partially true. So I've made, I guess, $11,500 off scholarships in my grade 12 year, and that's probably more than you'll make through a part-time job working throughout the year or in the summer even. So just through a couple small applications, you can definitely achieve that. In terms of internal scholarships, when I say internal, that refers to the institution itself. So with universities like SFU, UBC, Douglas, Langara, Capilano, that's just the BC schools, all the Ontario schools as well, they all have their own scholarships that the school themselves give out to students, and that can be from anywhere from like $1,000 as a one-time scholarship up to, I don't know, UBC gives out the $200,000 or like the $100,000 scholarships over 4 years. There's various types of internal scholarships. A lot of them you don't have much control over. Some of them require separate applications. Some of them require just your regular application. For example, UBC, if you just apply to UBC, they consider you for all of the internal scholarships. So just something to keep in mind. Internal ones are kind of hard to control. The only way you can really get good internal scholarships from the universities is keeping a high percentage average. So if you're like above 93% average, a lot of schools give you like $3,000. If you're just have good extracurriculars, they'll consider you, and you might win some other merit internal scholarships. But I'll focus more on the external ones, the ones that you can kind of be more proactive about and go ahead and apply for. There's also, I guess, work study co-op opportunities that you won't find out about until you get into university. But to go back to the external scholarships, I don't have a full list off the top of my head. I have to go through this extensive Google Drive folder. So for every application that I've submitted or have partially finished this year, they're all here. I'll put all of these in a list as well onto a document sometime in the future, but these are some of the scholarships I applied to. So a lot of these, I'm not going to share all my essays and everything. If you want specific things and what I wrote about, feel free to message me after. I'll leave my email in the chat as well. Drop your personal emails. I'll add you to the IB Google Drive folder, but it's on there if you want. Contact me after. I'm taking in a couple students if you want personalized one-on-one support throughout the school year next year. I'm offering services probably for free, and just to have one-on-one coaching sessions and to stay in touch and give you advice on how to get into your dream school. So but let's go through some of the ones I won. So BC School Sports, I won the Fraser North Zone Scholarship. So this one was also I think 20 scholarships, each $750 offered throughout the province. And for every athletic zone for school sports, they give 2 scholarships, one male, one female. And for the Fraser North Zone, so that's Coquitlam, Burnaby, Maple Ridge, New West, I won the Fraser North Zone Scholarship. That was as simple as submitting an essay. I did this all on the card too, right before Ultimate, using someone's hotspot. So pretty lucky, but that's kind of how I've gotten all of this done. This was the the big ticket scholarship one I won earlier in the year. A lot of these I don't finish. Honestly, I start them, but I don't finish them if they're not worth my time. This one, for example, so many essays in it. Kind of regret, writing it and submitting it. But this one, I highly recommend. So this one, I also won. There's going to be a scholarship presentation for me that Vincent Zhao is doing for the Port Moody Youth, the city youth scholarship. So the Port Moody City every year, they give away $1,000 to a youth, and there's 5 questions, and you write 200 characters. That's pretty easy to submit an application. So that one. There's a couple other scholarships. Not all of them are on here actually. That I've won throughout the year, as well. A couple internal ones, or not internal ones. Sorry, school-based ones. So Port Moody ones from Port Moody, you get it with your graduation diploma, and then once you open the front cover on this page, they put letters in your diploma, and you'll find out if you've won any school ones. And if you're attending Port Moody Secondary, you're going to get the scholarship package, I think, in January, and you kind of just go through the list and submit a 50-page PDF. Some scholarships will use the general application. There's a general application. There's also every scholarship-specific application. So there's maybe 50 on the list, on the Port Moody list that they're offering to Port Moody students. You complete a general application, and then you complete sub-applications for the specific ones that you're eligible for and that you want to apply for. So I think I applied to maybe 20-something of them that I was eligible for, and then I won 2 of them. And so that was a $2,000 one and a $1,250 one. There's a couple more. McMaster also gave me $3,000 of scholarships. That's just a one-time scholarship, excellence in engineering or something like that, where they give me that scholarship based on my percentage average throughout high school. So those are some of the ones I've won. There's definitely different ways to pay for university, and it doesn't have to be just through external scholarships. When you think about scholarships, though, you do think about the external ones, and there's a lot of them, right? Like I forgot to mention, like your parents' workplace might have one, their work union might have one, and those ones are, I guess, easier. Just the ones that people are less in the know about. Like you might hear about the Schulich, and if you've heard about the Schulich, good for you because this one is really hard. $120,000 over 4 years, and not many people get them. I think 100 scholarships every year, and it's hard, right? Like there's hundreds, thousands of applications. Yeah, like probably closer to 50,000 applications for this scholarship, and it's hard. But there's smaller ones like like some of these ones you might have never heard of that exist out there that you could definitely apply for. So there's that. Any questions so far about scholarships? Just about how to find them, or some good ones.
Oh yeah, Kobe. So I was wondering, like, where do you actually like fill out the forms to actually apply for these?
So you mean the school ones, or just like all of these?
Well, yeah, all of these in general, right? Like I know
Yeah.
there's multiple different places, right? Like how do you keep track of that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna put out like an extensive list because a lot of them that you'll find online, if you're just plainly searching online, a lot of them are gonna be U.S. based scholarship lists, and those ones I do not recommend going through because if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you don't reside in the U.S., you are likely ineligible for over 95% of them. So there are Canadian ones, and there's one that I'll share. I don't know if I can find it at this moment. Maybe I can. Let me quickly look for it. And I don't think I can find it at this moment. But there's one by Salish Secondary School in Surrey, and they release like a 40-page document every year with 40 pages of scholarships organized by the due date and what month they're due in. So that's where I started. There's tons of other websites, and a lot of these are kind of scammy, kind of not so good. But you just search scholarships, and so this website is good. There's a bunch of them. This one I kind of go to sometimes. Scholar Tree. They send like a weekly thing to my inbox, and there's just a ton of scholarships. Once you have a list going, and you have I just subscribe to the newsletter, and then they email me tons of scholarships that are, for example, due this week. And you go on their website, and let's say I don't know. Let's say I want to do the Port Moody Youth Scholarship. Sorry, the Port Moody. Not do the Google Docs though. That's mine. Go on here, and on the website itself, there will be the different things, and oh look, the Youth Scholarship Program. Find the website, and there will likely be a form or an email address with steps on what to submit, what to attach in the email, and this one's a simple form. Open it, and you fill it out. So this one's closed right now, but that's the process kind of for how to apply for these ones. Find it 50-50. It's either a form that you fill in online or one that you email to. A lot of times I find the email ones, they don't respond. So you might email them your application, and they'll never confirm if they've ever received it or not. So that's kind of hard, but yeah, that's kind of how you apply and how you get the ball rolling for a lot of these scholarships. So any other questions or concerns about scholarships? The ones that I recommend, maybe? Wait, any questions recently?
One question asks, any tips for preparing or how to write essays and personal statements? how do you keep organized for all those things, right?
Yeah. So I guess let me share my screen once again. So if you see my Google Drive, it's pretty rigorously organized. So obviously all my academics are in one place. I have different folders to organize it, and within the applications folder, I might be doing my uni apps, and within this I'll have even more subfolders, and that's how you organize it. It's kind of up to you and how to do it, but in terms of writing the essays themselves, your best bet is to write a couple good ones and reuse and recycle them. And that's what I've done for a lot of the applications. Like, there's no way I've been able to apply to 50 scholarships if I were to write every essay again. But the reason I've been able to is because I take one essay that's maybe 300 words, and now this other scholarship asks for me to do it in 400 words, and the prompts might be slightly different. I'll work on taking the 300-word essay, turning it into a 400-word essay, and making it fit the prompt in like 15 minutes instead of rewriting an entire essay. And that's kind of like how you want to get efficient at kind of writing essays is being able to reuse material. That's one of the most important parts of writing essays. In terms of how to get started, so someone mentioned personal profile. If that's for UBC specifically, you just have to take time and use your authentic life experiences. So a lot of people like to write sob stories. They like to write things that they don't really like anyways. But if you're able to find something from within that you're personally passionate about and that you're able to write a story on, like if you claim to love biology and you want to be a doctor in the future, do you really have any biology experiences? Or can you only think about those times in soccer where your team lost, your team went down 3-1 after the first half, and you were still able to come back? What type of memory do you remember fonder? And most of the times it will be the soccer, the sports, arts, just different life experiences that are not necessarily related to the major that you're doing. In some cases, in lots of U.S. schools, some Canadian schools like Waterloo, they'll ask you, why do you like engineering? In that case, you got to use an engineering story, right, to kind of narrate that and drive home the point. But a lot of times they're kind of like, what's one challenge you've overcome? And they're not necessarily looking for what, like, the time your robotics machine broke down and you had to replace a part. Because first of all, that's not as fun. Like, that's likely not something that you're actually proud of, and something that you actually genuinely remembered really fondly, and something that you'll hold, a place in your heart for. You're probably going to remember some of the other experiences, maybe goofing off in room 214 before a chem test during block 2. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up at this point, but those are the type of moments that you want to be writing about because you have more connection to it. A lot of times I could write about doing this titration in chem, but honestly, it'll be harder for me to do that. I could still write a great essay, and I can technically still make some things up about how I were to do the titration, and make things up about why I was so passionate and everything else. But it's going to be hard, way harder for you to convince the reader, the person reading your applications, on why you truly actually love it. So that's kind of my take on it. You have to find something that you genuinely care about enough to write about. Honestly, if there was like a moment in sports, I guess the one I wrote my personal statement on, that's something I would write in and of itself, even if it weren't like a college essay, or even the track and field experience. If you watched on PMS's Athletics when Arnold pulled up to the stadium right when the race started, I would go out of my way to write something about that, and I wouldn't even need the university application to come to me for me to write that. So things like that, where you would honestly genuinely just write about, those are the things you have to write about. And from there on out, it's a lot of trusting people to edit your essays. That's a big part that people underestimate. My friend Chris, he edited his 600-word Common App personal statement 12 times, you get 12 different drafts. So just keep that in mind. Essays are a lot of work, and you got to start on them early. Find things you're passionate about, and trust the editing process. That's what I'll say.
Right. So, Kobe, just sorry to cut you off there. I think some people might not want to send their Gmails in a public chat like this. So I created a Google form. So if you're interested to be added to the Google Drive here that Kobe has created, that contains tons of resources for applying to university, scholarships, and all the information that you need for universities. You can fill out the form. I will send the link in the chat right now. So, yeah, please fill this out. And once again, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat, or you can send it to us via this form. Okay. Thanks, Kobe.
Yeah. Any other questions so far about just anything?
Someone asked any tips for interviews.
Okay. Interviews. Okay.
I know. The UK system actually has like their own interview system, right? Like they have like a one-on-one interview, and then you solve questions in front of them, something like that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So if people are applying to UK schools, you probably contact Chris Chang for more personalized advice, because he applied to a couple UK schools, although most people won't be. So in terms of just general interviews, a lot of them that you'll see nowadays aren't going to be like talking to a person. You'll be doing like a recorded interview where they'll play the question on the screen for 30 seconds, and you have 30 seconds to prepare, and then orally tell a story. So in terms of interviews, you want to have a couple key projects or stories that you have ready to tell, because with interview questions, you're not necessarily trying to answer the question to the best of your abilities. You're trying to find a personal example that you've experienced to answer that question and fit them together well. Like it's like a puzzle, right? You're given this question, and you're given these experiences that you have. You want to be able to fit them in nicely like this, and that's the goal. So when I do interviews, especially the online ones where they ask you the questions, I have a sheet of paper. I write out some of the things. So for McMaster, the engineering program that I'm in, iBiomed, the interview questions, there were 3 of them, I think. And I know one of them is going to be about problem solving, something about engineering. So I brainstormed 3 different examples of when I used collaboration or whatever, and I ended up using one of the examples that I thought about, and I'm like, what about that time in bio class when I had to do this? And I have that written down so that when the interview question comes, I can explain my journey or story behind that. But you don't necessarily memorize a script, is what I'm saying. You want to have these examples written down, maybe a sentence about them or bullet points, but you never want to memorize any type of interview. No matter if you know the question or not in advance, you shouldn't be memorizing, because it kind of cuts off from the kind of personal touch to it. If you see me talking right now, I'm kind of thinking on the spot, trying to explain and give advice. If I were to have this completely memorized, like if I had this in my PowerPoint notes and then just told it to you, it wouldn't be as kind of personal and as meaningful, and you probably wouldn't listen as well. So same thing with interviews. You really have to take down a couple bullet points, personal experiences that you have that might fit into a question. So for mine, some of the other interview questions, I wrote down a story about 2020 mission. I wrote 2 stories about PMS's athletics. Then I wrote a story about student council and this event that we did. Those experiences that kind of define who I am, and obviously basketball as well. I have a couple examples. I fit them into the interview questions, which might be like, how did you overcome this? What is one piece of advice you give to your younger self? And whatnot. So that's what I would say. Most interview questions are like that. And same with, face-to-face, real person interviews online. That's kind of how you prepare. So For example, my UPenn interview went really, really well. I'm surprised they didn't accept me, but I basically had a 1 hour, 20-minute conversation with this random person I've never met. It was supposed to be 20 minutes. It went for an hour and 20. And it started off pretty slow, but once I started, talking about 2020 mission and how we started that, I found that the lady's husband is an optometrist. And so we keep talking about that. And then, I was talking about basketball and the different experiences behind that. A lot of different things can go into it. And the more you talk, the more you'll feel ready and, I guess, able to share your experiences. A lot of it is also just practice talking to people. So, if you're very introverted, you don't talk to people, you stutter a lot, just go out there and talk to people. That's kind of not just for interviews, but just, life overall. Get to know people, talk to people, and that's how I'd approach it, honestly. So I'll keep it there. In terms of, I guess, some special interviews, for UBC Solder, they did a interview for me. One of the questions was, it was really peculiar, honestly. It was, what is more important, what people say or what people do? The question was, what is more important, what people say or what people do? And it was 10 seconds, and I had to talk for a minute and a half. And that was probably one of the hardest, most difficult interview questions I've done. Because, first of all, how do you start? And how do I take those examples from my real life and apply? It's a little harder for those open-ended questions, and UBC Solder definitely does do some weirder ones. They have 2 interview questions, each a minute and a half, 15 seconds preparation. And so that's one that you might have to really prepare for. I know Rotman Commerce as well. Some of the interview questions might be harder, but the more you do the interviews, the better you'll get. And you'll have good days, you'll have bad days. At the end of the day, just do your best, and it'll be fine. So we still have 9 viewers. Just seeing if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, so Kobe, do you mind talking about maybe extracurriculars in high school? What you should be doing, what maybe you should try to avoid, and, just tips about what to choose.
Yeah. So extracurriculars, right? Like, I think I've said this many times, but I'll say it again, and it's to find passion in what you do, right? A lot of people, they'll do volunteering, they'll do this, they'll do that for the resume, right? They'll be like, okay, well, I think this is going to help me get into university, and that's the wrong approach, because that's not truly going to help you. There are some things that, like, if you have 2 options to go tutor someone and to start your own nonprofit organization, maybe I would advise you to go one direction or the other. But generally, it's up to you. What you think is more meaningful to your own life experiences, and you're not trying to think about what's going to help you get in, because they want to see you be a good person and just and for you to experience those things, the stories I told you about, that might be in sports, in arts, in volunteering. Those type of stories are what are going to help you drive those college essays and help you get in. Because if you don't have those, if you're just a pure grades person, every Tuesday I go tutor this person for $25 an hour, what stories are you going to have to tell in your life, right? Like, people say, oh, the lore I'm going to have when I'm an adult and I have kids is going to be crazy. The dad lore is going to... That's what you want to go for, right? So it's pretty, I'd say, like, contradicting to what some other resources online might say. They might say, oh, do this, do that, and you're guaranteed, like, or the top 10 extracurriculars for an Ivy League institution. But it's not true, honestly. Like, there are statistics, there are ways that you can get in, but it's different for everyone. And because we're not in the U.S., we don't have, like, we're not encouraged to do research in high school with local community colleges. Like, you can't really expect us to be doing the same thing. But, for example, me, I'll do student council. I'll do PMS athletics. I'll do 2020 mission. I'll do a bunch of these things that will help me, grow those life experiences, but also maximize what I can do, because I can't really go out there and do a $10,000 summer program in the US, and I can't really connect with local professors and do research because those type of things are not as common, and especially for where we are, like you just have to find what you like to do, what you can do, and how you can make an impact. And I like to tell people it has to be something world changing. And so, if you love debate, you know what? Go ahead, go do debate all day. But if you're just doing debate and you're participating in tournaments, what impact does that have on the world? I think the best way to measure kind of how impressive an extracurricular is what impact does it have on yourself, and then what impact does it have on the world. Those are the two biggest things, in my opinion, that will measure the success of an extracurricular. If you're an Olympic athlete, you might not have a direct impact on the world, but you're, again, advancing the competitiveness, the respect of your sport, while also achieving, high personal peaks. So, finding things that you like to do, I can give kind of advice on it. Like, you don't necessarily have to start a nonprofit organization and sell Krispy Kreme at SkyTrain stations. I think it's one of the more cliche things that people do now, because it's not world changing. Like, sure, you raise $60, maybe even $200 off a day of selling those, but what is that going to do? Because $200 is not changing the world. And so with something like 2020 Mission, where we're taking those glasses, those 3,000 glasses, have them in a database, and we take them straight to Guatemala to give to people in need, and with a team of optometrists to prescribe those glasses to people. That's something that will truly change that entire town that we helped, and possibly Guatemala as a whole. And then maybe someone from that group who couldn't see, who has -8 in both eyes. We've seen those patients before. -15. We give them the pair of glasses, and maybe they go on to do something incredible. That's how my project would be world changing. So that's kind of the approach you have to take with extracurriculars. That's the mindset you want. World changing, something that you really love. Because there's not a single thing that I do every day. I don't wake up and do anything that I don't want to do. So I do have a pretty good portfolio, profile for applying to university, but none of it was forced. None of it was something that I didn't want to do. So hope that kind of answers the question.
All right, yeah, thanks, Kobe. So one question asked, how often should I work on my university applications and scholarships? So do you have like a general timeline on at what point should you be doing what, when you should be having set things to be done already?
Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is UBC. For your summer from grade 11 to grade 12, work on your UBC personal profile. Try to submit UBC on October 1st. Just submit it. Get it out the way, because you're probably going to apply UBC. So from grade 11 to grade 12 summer, work on your profile. It's 3 or 4 essays. Get that done and submit it as soon as you can when it opens on October 1st. In terms of scholarships, it really depends on which ones you're looking for. You kind of have to be monitoring it and doing it all the time. I do not recommend saying, I'll do scholarships during winter break. It doesn't work like that, because it's something that you kind of regularly have to keep up with. The deadlines are all over the place. Some deadlines are in September, some October, November, December, January, the entire year. Even now in July, there are still scholarships for me going into university as a first-year student. So those ones you kind of have to keep track, and I'll hopefully release a scholarship spreadsheet with all the deadlines and everything for you to better plan. But don't do it from month to month. Do it from week to week. I'll maybe check up on all my scholarships, which are in my to-do list, every Sunday, and I see, okay, this week I have to work on these 3 scholarships because the deadline is coming up, or I really want to get this one started. That's the approach you want to take to it. Same with university applications. Canadian ones you don't really have to worry about until closer to winter break. US applications for the early round, start working on things as early as September. Finish them kind of mid-October-ish, and then edit for the rest of the way until November 1st. Once November 1st hits, after US early applications, it's all about your grades until winter break. So December is all about getting your grades up, doing well in your extracurriculars, getting things organized, spending time with family. Once winter break rolls around, that's when you do all of your regular round applications. I sat there for 12 hours a day and I did like 30 applications the entire winter break. So that's what you do. Winter break, January comes around, you focus on your predicted grades right until the very end. January 31st is when you take a break, relax. February is kind of when you maybe pick it up again, start studying for your exams, work on scholarships, different things. But a lot of the big scholarships, the $100,000 ones, the $80,000 ones, the $40,000 scholarships, those ones will be earlier in the year. The Loran is October, I believe. The TD is November 15th. The Schulich is December. The BC Excellence is also December. BD Luminaries is like January, early. Terry Fox is December 1st. Kamolik is February or January. But a lot of the big ones are pretty early. So you kind of have to plan. It really depends on you yourself. If you need, obviously, personalized support with that and planning your schedule, you let me know. Email me, contact me, and then we'll work out something from there. So I think, yeah, the schedule and timeline of things really depends on person to person. And that's all I'll have to say for now. Okay, let me take a quick washroom break. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, no problem. So thanks, Kobe, for helping out with answering the questions. So I think we're entering that last stage of our stream. So we'll do a Q&A now. So if you have any questions, leave it in the chat. And I've sent a link in the chat that links to a Google form. So Kobe's created a Google Drive that has tons of resources on how to apply to university scholarships and what extracurriculars you should do. And if you're an IB, there's also a lot of resources for that as well. So if you would like access to that, fill in the form and fill in your Gmail, and we'll get you added to the Google Drive. So yeah, if you have any questions, send to the chat and we'll get to it right away.
We'll go for maybe 15 more minutes max. Getting tired. Our voices tired for an hour.
Yeah. So I just told them we'll have a Q&A now. There's a pretty big delay. There's like a minute delay. So we'll see if any more questions pop up. Yeah.
Yeah.
One question asks, how important is networking and what approach would you take to it? I'm not.
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I'm not sure like what networking they're like talking about, but maybe.
Okay, I think it's just like getting to know people, getting their contact information.
Yeah.
Well, like do it through LinkedIn, right? But I never call it networking. I don't believe in networking. I believe in connecting with people. So there's obviously a slight difference in my opinion. Networking, people typically do even online or maybe in person really briefly, exchange contact information, talk about what you do, your profession, your schooling, something like that, and call it a day. Because, hey, maybe, 3 years down the line, Mr. Kiefer Lowe, I might need you to film a video about airplanes for me, and that's when I'll reach out. But I don't think that approach really works, and people, although they do talk about it, aren't necessarily right in that way of thinking, because I think the better way to approach it is connecting, and that's what I say is connecting with people, right? So connecting is slightly deeper than networking. You're truly trying to build a friendship or a relationship with your teacher, coach, and it's more than just getting their information and calling it a day and only contacting them when you need something from them. It should be like a regular friendship where you might ask, yo, how's it going with this, or how's your school doing, do you need any help with math? That's truly what networking is, or connecting is, instead of simply getting their contact information and forgetting about that random boy from Richmond that you met that one day. Like, that's not the right way to do things. And I don't think networking. I'd rather have 200 contacts in my phone than 1,000 connections on LinkedIn. The connections you have in a more deeper sense are more valuable than the shallow ones that you might have with more people. So that's my approach to it. I want to get close with people, and just from a personal standpoint, like it's hard for me to just briefly know someone and call it a day, right? I have to really get to know them. Like, I'm not just there to exploit them or get help from them or use them in the future. I hopefully will be able to contribute and exchange meaningful you know advice or help or anything else that you might need. So that's kind of my take on it. A lot of people still call it networking. I know I have an argument pretty much monthly with my friend Simoon, and he's like, it's called networking. And I'm like, no, it's connecting with people. And I don't network with you, I connect with you. It's just on a more personal standpoint. And, I could give examples of that, but like I call people my friends instead of people I know, right? Like there's levels to it, I think, and you want to strive for the deepest level of connection you can. Obviously, you can't have a million friends, but try your best to, because at the end of the day, like, it's a people's world, and it's hard not to connect with people if that's what you're trying to do, not just networking. That's my take on it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, if you have any more questions, send it now, because I think Kobe's getting a bit tired.
That's all right. Yeah, we'll do 10 minutes of Q&A.
Yeah. So, any more questions, send it right now, and we'll get to it right away. There's quite a bit of a delay, so we'll have to wait a bit. But so someone asked, can you give more information on your one-on-one service?
So eventually, I hope to, do this as like a kind of part-time thing. But right now, I just want to help people and really connect with people and help inspire them, hopefully. So if you're one of those people that kind of need help, I think it'll be something like monthly calls. So something like a 1-hour monthly call that we do every month, and I'll help you kind of plan, navigate through university scholarships, extracurriculars, next steps, and what to do. It can really be completely personalized. It'll just be one-on-one. I will never offer anything that's generic, things that you see online. I will never sell online courses or anything like that. It'll be like straight one-on-one, and the first couple students that I do might be completely free. So if you're looking for that, and if you've already asked me questions in the past, you kind of know what my style is like. So if that's something you're interested in working with, like, just contact me and we can set something up for the upcoming school year. So as well, like, if you want to do a one-time session with your parents, kind of debunk some college myths especially with U.S. universities, there's a shifting landscape behind top U.S. institutions, and it's not what it was a year ago. Like, even just a year ago, it's pretty crazy to say. It depends on the high school as well. So us, Port Moody Secondary, it's different than it would be for someone from Meadow Ridge. So a lot of those things, it's important to really debunk that with parents. So that's why I've offered that. But if it's just you, one-on-one services, like once a month calls, I'll keep in contact with you by email or text, and throughout the year I'll help you. So if you're interested, email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. No one's asked me so far, so you can be the first. And I won't take more than maybe 5 or 10 people, so yeah.
Right, Kobe, do you have like a way of contacting you? So
Yeah,
send
I'll
that.
put my email in the chat one more time. KobeLee2437@gmail.com. Send me an email. Contact me through Instagram if you have it. Either works. Okay, a couple viewers leaving and coming and going, but if you have any other questions, please leave them in the chat and we'll try to answer them. I guess to mention, if you're watching this from the past, if you're watching a playback of this stream, everything applies. Send me an email, fill in the Google form, and I'll hopefully help you in whatever way I can. I think I explained things pretty well if there's no questions. So yeah, we'll give it 2 more minutes maybe. If there's nothing, I'll leave it there.
Yep.
Alright, now we have 9 viewers? Come on, guys. Why can't we have that earlier? But I think we'll leave it at that, I think. If you have questions, feel free, again, send me emails, Instagram messages, anything works. And best of luck to everyone who's watching this. Best of luck with your future goals, whether it be with your career, extracurriculars, anything else, right? Like, you know, people, like, not to generalize, but a lot of people, they come to Canada searching for a future, searching for, you know, hope. And, you know, the best I can do is to at least help you with that and find that hope in your life, that confidence that you can do what you really want to do. So I hope this has inspired you in some way or another. And I hope to keep using my story as, you know, a way to help others. So thank you again. Thank you, Weiwei, for hosting this session, and we'll catch you next time. Maybe you'll have me on again in the future. But if you're interested in one-on-one services, if you're interested in the IB Google Drive folder, contact us.
Yep. So thank you, Kobe. Thank you so much for coming on the stream, helping us out with the information session. And yeah, so about to sign off now, but if you have any more questions, we'll get to you if you send it in the chat right now. And once again, if you want to contact Kobe for more information, I've put his email in the chat, kobelee2437@gmail.com. And if you want to be added to the Google Drive, which Kobe is creating, which is full of resources, you can fill out the form and we will add you to that. So, and that's pretty much it for the stream. So if there's no more questions, we'll be ending the stream soon. And yeah, I wish everyone best of luck with your university applications, with everything that's going on in your that's going on in high school, and have a great summer, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yep.